SpongeBob SquarePants through the lens of A Course in Miracles becomes strangely illuminating because the show exaggerates the mechanics of ego, innocence, projection, identity, and perception in almost cartoon pure form. At first glance, SpongeBob seems chaotic and absurd, but ACIM would immediately recognize something important. The world people take seriously is often just as psychologically absurd, only with better disguises. SpongeBob SquarePants himself is fascinating because he lives with radical enthusiasm and openness. He is emotionally transparent, forgiving almost instantly, deeply relational, and strangely undefended. Not enlightened exactly, because he still becomes reactive and attached, but there is an innocence there that contrasts sharply with the cynical structures around him. ACIM often points toward childlike openness, not childish unconsciousness, but unguarded availability. SpongeBob continually approaches life fresh. The ego hates freshness because it survives through past reference. Grievances, identity, comparison, memory, expectation. SpongeBob resets quickly. That matters. Then there is Squidward, tentacles. Squidward is almost the ego exhausted by existence, irritated, defended, superior, disappointed, chronically dissatisfied. Nothing is enough. Even when conditions improve temporarily, he returns to dissatisfaction because ACM would say the ego cannot truly receive fulfillment from externals. It survives through maintaining lack. Squidward believes separation protects his dignity, yet he is lonely constantly. That is psychologically sharp. The ego says, withdraw and protect yourself. But isolation deepens in suffering. SpongeBob keeps extending friendship anyway, often clumsily, but persistently. In ACM terms, extension is closer to reality than withdrawal because love naturally extends. Now, Mr. Krabs is practically a caricature of scarcity consciousness. Money becomes salvation. Security becomes accumulation. ACM repeatedly says the ego is organized around lack. Never enough, never safe enough, never complete enough. Mr. Krabs has wealth but not peace. The irony is intentional. Then there is Plankton. Plankton is the separated self obsessed with specialness and control. He believes acquiring the secret formula will finally complete him, but even if he succeeded, the structure of lack underneath would remain intact. That mirrors egoic striving. If I just get this one thing, the ego perpetually postpones peace into the future. And the secret formula itself becomes symbolic. Everyone wants the hidden external answer. ACIM gently redirects. The secret is not external acquisition, but inner reinterpretation. Another ACIM parallel. Bikini Bottom often operates through emotional contagion and mass confusion. One rumor spreads and everyone panics. One fear spreads and collective insanity emerges. ACIM says perception is highly unstable because it is filtered through unconscious belief systems. SpongeBob externalizes this instability in exaggerated comic form. The show constantly reveals how quickly perception becomes distortion. And then there is Patrick. Patrick Star is interesting because he alternates between simplicity and complete unconsciousness. Sometimes he accidentally expresses profound simplicity. Other times he reflects mindless inertia. This distinction matters spiritually. There is a difference between innocent openness and unconscious passivity. ACM does not advocate becoming mentally vacant. It points toward lucid awareness beyond egoic complexity. Patrick occasionally stumbles into simplicity because he lacks overstructuring, but he also demonstrates what happens when awareness becomes unfocused rather than clear. The underwater setting itself is symbolic too. Everything feels fluid. Identity is unstable. Physics are flexible. Logic bends constantly, wonderfully ACM-like. The ego wants rigid certainty and fixed definitions, yet experience itself is fluid, interpretive, symbolic, dreamlike. Even the visual style matters. Characters stretch, explode, reform, survive impossible events. The body is treated as malleable theater rather than ultimate identity. ACIM similarly challenges the solidity we assign to form, and perhaps the deepest ACIM resonance is this. SpongeBob remains joyful without needing superiority. That is rare in ego structures. Most egoic happiness depends on comparison, winning, recognition, specialness, control. SpongeBob's joy often emerges from participation itself. Working, singing, playing, relating, creating. The ego calls that naivete. But the Course might ask, what if defenseless joy is actually closer to sanity than chronic sophistication? Still, the show also warns against unconscious positivity. Sometimes SpongeBob overrides boundaries, ignores discernment, or mistakes intensity for love. That is important spiritually too. ACM is not teaching performative positivity or compulsive niceness. Love without wisdom can still become distortion. Real forgiveness is not emotional hyperactivity. It is clear seeing without attack. And maybe that is why the show endures across ages. Underneath the silliness, Bikini Bottom reflects the human condition. Fear, desire, competition, loneliness, friendship, identity performance, absurdity, and the strange persistence of joy inside the dream. A cartoon aquarium becomes a mirror of the mind,